For the first time in history, from the times of the Romans, the Greeks, the Mongols, the Crusaders, for the first time, young men today have lower testosterone than an old man in his 60s. Young men today are both mentally and physically weaker than ever before. Modern men are more depressed, more confused, more anxious, more medicated, and more lost than any generation before them. And it's all because our masculinity is being destroyed, also known as our testosterone. So what exactly is our testosterone? You might have overheard about testosterone on the internet from some fitness influencers or from social media, but to cut it short, what testosterone is the male sexual hormone primarily produced in the testicles. And when you go through puberty, this is the same exact hormone that causes the rapid growth of body and facial hair. That's why if you're like brown like me, all of a sudden your beard just grows out. That's why, because of testosterone. Testosterone is the most important hormone that helps you go through their transition and the development from you being a young boy into a young man. And in adulthood, this is still very important because this is what helps you maintain that. This is what makes you feel good overall, makes you have a happier mood, a good mood, and it helps you feel more confident and have a high testosterone, high sexual drive. Testosterone makes effort feel good. It turns struggle into something a little bit more rewarding rather than draining. High testosterone is exactly what you need in life to accomplish anything you want, whether that's being a basketball player or a soccer player or being a YouTuber. Anything you want to be, high testosterone is required for you to have that motivation inside you and that masculine power, like that you can do anything. However, there is a problem. Low testosterone has the opposite effects of this. Low testosterone makes you feel like shit, makes you feel a little bit less confident about yourself, it makes you feel submissive and vulnerable. Anything challenging that you do, whether that's working a 9 to 5 or going to the gym, anything challenging, anything that requires effort, it just feels meaningless and just purposeless and just hard to do. And the normal range of testosterone that most doctors tell you is between 300 nanograms per deciliter to 900 nanograms per deciliter. But there's a problem with this range. Think about it. 300 and 900 nanograms per deciliter. Isn't that gap a little bit huge, a little bit too big? Because think about it. Someone who has a testosterone range of 300 is going to feel completely different to someone who's has 900 nanograms per deciliter, right? The range is way too big. It should be a lot smaller. Like for example, the range should be measured like, if you're like above 300 nanograms per deciliter, you're on the higher end. But if you're below that, under 300 nanograms per deciliter, you're on the lower end. It should be measured like that. Not this big ass range of 300 to 900 nanograms per deciliter. Because this range includes most of the guys of the modern population, like the guys who don't work out, they stay idle, they play video games, they do drugs, they smoke weed, and they just don't do anything to increase their testosterone. And if you're a guy who isn't like this, like you like to work out, you like to eat healthy, you're doing all the good things, your testosterone should be more in the range of like 1,000, above 1,000 actually. However, there's a big problem with this. Even the guys who are disciplined and they're doing all the good things have low testosterone still. And this might be you as well. You're doing all the good things and yet it feels like you have low testosterone. You're living this limp-dick life. And I think I know exactly why this is happening. I'm gonna sound crazy right now, but please hear me out. It was scientifically proven that men's testosterone levels are rapidly declining every single year. A study from the European Association of Urology found that mean testosterone levels were lower in 2011 to 2016 compared to 1999 to the year 2000. And they also discovered that more than 20% of those men had low testosterone now. Another study from Israel, containing over 100,000 men, also found a significant age-dependent decline of testosterone in over about 13 years. And you know what's crazy about this? All of these studies I've showed you right now are outdated, meaning that the problem right now is a lot worse. Having low testosterone back then was seen as normal for older men because naturally as you age, your testosterone drops. But nowadays, it is very common for a young man in his 20s or even in his teen years to have low testosterone. If you were to look at old footage of young men in the 1950s or 1960s, where they were more lean, more muscular and fit, they look completely different to how a young man is built today. Now the big question is, why is this happening? Why are young men struggling with testosterone? And to give you a simple answer, it's because our lifestyles got worse over the time. Back then, the lifestyle of a young man was of a warrior because quite literally, their life depended on it. If you did not work, you will not survive. Now society has gotten way too comfortable and way too easy for young men that men now have the simple opportunity to become degenerates and do stupid shit to ruin their lives, like doing drugs, playing video games, or watching porn, or even as something simple like staying up on your phone very late at night. These are just some of the factors that lower your testosterone. Okay, fair enough. We all know this is gonna happen to the people that are doing this. They're gonna have low testosterone. But the even bigger question is, why are disciplined men still struggling? Why are men probably like yourself who go to the gym 5 to 6 times a week, they eat healthy foods that increase their testosterone like red meats and eggs, and they eat supplements and all that, why are they still experiencing low symptoms of testosterone? Look, I'm gonna sound crazy, but again, trust me on this. But the real cause of this is our environment. Look around, man. Look what's in our environment. The modern world has introduced a massive influx of synthetic chemicals that disrupt our hormones. And one of those chemicals are called estrogenics, which are chemicals that mimic the female sexual hormone, which is called estrogen. And guess what? These chemicals are found almost everywhere. There are in our water, they're in pesticides, they're in air pollutions, they're even in cleaning products. Quite literally, anything that you interact with that's made of plastic, like this phone case, like your phone case, has the ability to reduce your testosterone. But not only your testosterone, but also your sperm count, your ability to have kids. Now, imagine you meet the girl of your dreams, the girl who you love with all your heart. You meet her, and then you end up marrying her. Now comes the time to have kids. But your sperm is too fucked up because of the environment. You try again to have kids, but she still has her period. Basically, it means that you failed to impregnate her. How fucking devastating would that be? Look in her face. How sad would that be? That she can't have kids of her own because her partner has sperm and testosterone that's way too fucked up. Now, maybe because of this, she might leave you for someone who will actually impregnate her and give her kids. How devastating would that be? Not only losing the ability to have kids, but also losing your wife who you love with all your heart. And it's all because the modern world destroyed your sperm. I really hope that you can visualize that and you tell yourself, look, this is my responsibility and my duty to take care of my health and my testosterone. I really hope that you can say that to yourself because this is quite literally your duty, your whole life purpose to have kids. There's another reason why testosterone is declining, and it's because of microplastics. We already talked about the chemicals inside the plastics and all that, but what I'm talking about right now is the actual little particles that are inside of plastics, the microplastics. They're tiny, you can't really see them. In average, most people consume up to a credit card's worth of plastic every single week. That's like 52 credit cards in a single year. It was also discovered that every single living man has microplastics inside their testicles. And the worst part about it is that microplastics don't biodegrade, meaning that they don't break down by the soil or by the earth. They're simply just there always. And even if you try to burn it up, guess where that plastic, that chemicals go to? You go up in the air and we breathe it. So basically, no matter what you do, plastics are just there almost permanently. Now, there was actually another study where they found out that the same chemicals inside plastics and also pesticides were making the frogs gay. I know it sounds fucking this whole conspiracy, but look up atrazine frogs on Google. Look that up and I promise I'm not crazy. All right, we talked about the chemicals, the estrogenics, but it's not only that, it's not only the chemicals, but it's also some medical conditions. And one specifically medical condition that lowers your testosterone, which I actually had personally a surgery for, is called a varicocele. A varicocele is pretty much a clump of veins inside your testicles. Pretend this little cap, this plastic cap, is your balls. On top of it will be these like wires, these veins that come out of it. And what happens when you have a varicocele, those veins inflammate and they become bigger and bigger to a point where you feel this dull, achy pain almost constantly. And to the touch, it kind of feels like a bag of worms. Like if you were to feel around your testicles and you were to touch it, it would feel like a sensation of a bag of worms. So let's test this right now to see if you have a varicocele. Quite literally, take out your balls and start feeling it around. And if you feel like this sensation of a bag of worms, it kind of feels almost like a third ball. If you feel that, that's a varicocele. And what's even crazy about this is about 20% of the whole male population in the entire world have a varicocele, and they don't even know. And it's also very known to drop your testosterone and your sperm count. And for me, it got to a point where my condition was hurting me really bad. For a year straight, not gonna lie, I was so much pain to the point I was like actually limping to walk. And yeah, I did go to get it checked out and I did the whole process for it, but it took me over 6 months to get the surgery because they told me it was like is not a really important issue. And that's a problem nowadays. Men's health is not seen as an important issue. You always hear about the problems that women have, like breast cancer or like some other shit. I'm not saying we should forget about that, but you never really hear about men's problem. Am I right? So it's kind of up to us to find these problems and to deal with them. So if you test it out, you did a test, and you felt that varicocele, that clump of veins, get it checked out as soon as possible, because in the future, it will cause a lot of problems. But look, we all know a good part about this is actually our fault, because nowadays we are a lot more lazier and we are very vulnerable to many addictions and bad habits. But the good thing about this is that we have control and we can make progress in this. And yes, there's many things in the environment that are decreasing our testosterone. It may seem like an uphill battle that we're fighting, but we can still make progress. And we can put all our war efforts to increasing our testosterone naturally. In today's video, that's exactly what I'm going to show you. This is the exact way how I managed to increase my testosterone to 932 nanograms per deciliter. The first way to increase your testosterone levels is to enhance your workouts. You may have heard online from some fitness influencers that lifting weights will increase your testosterone, but that's not exactly right. You see, lifting weights does indeed increase your testosterone, but only momentarily. Like after 30 minutes or 1 hour, you might see an increase or a spike in your testosterone. But after that, it naturally comes down, it naturally decreases. So lifting weights isn't really gonna directly increase your testosterone. Yeah, it may lead you to live a more high masculine, high testosterone life, and you feel more confident, and you go up to girls and you talk to them, and that increases your testosterone. But there's no exact workout that increases your testosterone. There's actually a way of working out that may decrease your testosterone, which is through overtraining. Whenever you overtrain, whenever you work out until you feel like shit, your cortisol, your stress hormone, increases. And what happens when your stress hormone increases, your testosterone relatively decreases. So maybe chill down on your workouts. Maybe still train until failure, but don't train until you feel like shit and you feel like throwing up. Chill down, rest in between sets, and have rest on your rest days. The next way to increase your testosterone naturally is to enhance your diet. Today, the modern world is fucking awful. Quite literally, you can just walk down the street and there's a fucking McDonald's. And guess what? The actual diet that you're supposed to eat is actually the diet that most doctors and most people tell you to not to eat, which is the diet that contains red meats, eggs, rice, ribeye steaks, and lean beef. It turns out that was a fucking lie. Red meats and eggs and steaks are absolutely fucking good for your health because of the high natural fats, the protein, and the high cholesterol. And quite literally, cholesterol is a building block of testosterone. And you have someone in your life that tells you, oh, don't eat eggs, it's bad for your cholesterol. Slap the fuck out of them. Tell them to shut the fuck up. Turns out that was a fucking lie, and those fact doctors are fucking liars. Now, another good thing for you are actually carbs. But I'm not talking about the carbs from like Pop-Tarts or like from bread, sweet breads. No, I'm talking about good natural carbs, like from white rice and beans and potatoes. And yeah, I know there's a common belief that most people think that carbs make you fat, they make you look more bloated and all that. But carbs are absolutely good for you because one, it gives you a lot more energy in the gym. And two, this is very important, carbs act like suppressants to cortisol. So meaning when you eat more carbs, you stress less, meaning that your testosterone also increases. Again, don't eat the bad carbs from like donuts and Pop-Tarts. Eat healthy organic carbs like from white rice, potatoes, and maybe some beans. So in conclusion, in terms of a good diet, you need to eat a diet that is moderately high in fats, high in protein, high in carbs, and high in cholesterol. A third way to increase your testosterone naturally is to enhance your sleep. Now, there's actually an interesting study conducted by the University of Chicago where they had 28 participants. Each of these participants got a total of 10 hours of sleep each night for 3 days. And after those 3 days, they had all the participants restrict their sleep to 5 hours each night for an entire week. And what they discovered at the end of this study is that each participant had a drop in testosterone between 10% and 50% compared to the days where they're actually getting good quality sleep. And in another study, it was also discovered a group of participants who had bad sleep for an entire experiment also ended up losing good amounts of muscle. Therefore, the shorter you sleep, the less testosterone you are going to have. And the tip I have for you to fix this problem is to simply get into bed earlier. or to increase the amount of time you spend inside your bed. And you may have heard about the common belief that you need around 8 hours of sleep, right? That's not entirely true, because think about it. Throughout the whole night, you're not exactly asleep the whole night, right? Because you toss, you turn, and you maybe wake up to go use the restroom. So you're not getting 8 hours of sleep, you're getting more like 5, 6, 7 hours of sleep. So the advice I have for you is to be in bed 2 hours before your bedtime. So if your bedtime is around 10 p.m., be in bed around 8 p.m., 2 hours before. And by doing this, you're allowing your body to recognize it is time to fall asleep and to get comfortable. And when you are waiting to fall asleep, don't do anything hyperstimulating like playing video games, watching porn, or playing some games on your phone. No, do something that's productive, but also not too hyperstimulating, like reading a book, listening to a podcast, or listening to an audiobook. And if you are one of those people that still struggle to fall asleep, I suggest you to try out some supplements like melatonin and magnesium. And speaking about supplements, good supplements to increase your testosterone are zinc, iron, magnesium, fish oil, vitamin D, and Taukat Ali. But the most important supplement is vitamin D. I'm not gonna get into the whole scientific stuff about it, but basically, vitamin D is good for testosterone production. And good sources of vitamin D are through this pill form, like this one that gives you around 5,000 IU of vitamin D, but also through the sun. So if you really want to get lots of vitamin D, get up, go outside first thing in the morning and get some sun. If you want to take it on the next level, sun your balls. Quite literally, get naked, get in the sun, and sun your balls. Let those motherfuckers breathe, motherfucker. The final way to increase your testosterone is to declare war against modern society, or also getting away from estrogenics. So how do you avoid these things? How do you avoid the estrogenics and the things in our environment that are reducing your testosterone? The first way is to stop consuming new estrogenics. One of the main ways you consume estrogenics is through the type of foods and water you consume. And that could be foods that are wrapped in plastics. I know for some meats, they like to wrap it around inside plastics. Or also through water bottles, like this water bottle, you need to stop drinking from. And yeah, a water bottle may seem harmless. It may seem like not a big problem, but this is probably the main reason why your testosterone is dropping. So the better way to do this is to eat and drink from glass containers. And whenever you go outside to eat at a restaurant, always ask for the glass option. And yeah, I know this sounds tedious and annoying to do, but it's better to be safe than sorry, because plastics are one of the worst things for you. So please take this seriously, and don't just do it for yourself. Also do this for your future family and your future wife. Do this for your future wife so she doesn't have to go through these whole fertility problems. Take care of your testosterone and your sperm. And good on you for that, because a lot of people don't do this. They don't take care of their own sexual health. And good on you for watching this educational video. You could have been on TikTok or on Pornhub, but you're here trying to make an impact for your future. So thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one, and God bless.